Today I'm going to be talking to you about something that is extremely useful, simple, but very practical and very much needed. So we go to conferences. Those are some forms of networking events that we're doing. And conferences are very important, whether it is your industry conference or whether it's an industry that you're serving or your customers are hanging out in. Conferences are a great tool for marketing, and it's a great tool for networking as well. However, if we don't utilize it properly, it can become also a waste of time or something where we could have actually leveraged it a bit more, but we didn't. So here's some useful tips actually and tools that I'm going to be talking about on what to do before, during, and after a conference with regards to leveraging it properly, making the most out of it, so getting your bang out of your buck for that ticket that you paid, or if you were sponsoring it. So let's talk about that. So when we're researching conferences, a lot of times, we're researching, and hopefully you're researching conferences that are aligned with your industry, the industry that you're working in. So for me, it would be a legal industry conference, or maybe even continuing legal education type conferences. Or it could also be an industry that I am serving. So for my clients, where my clients are hanging out. And so in that form, it could be where I'm coming, I'm attending, I'm learning about the industry. Or it could also be where I'm sponsoring, so I get some more recognition and I have more awareness of my brand as well. So it's a form of marketing too. And so when we're searching these conferences, Google is great, Instagram is great, social media is wonderful as well. If you're following certain people, you can figure out which conferences are good, which conferences align with you, your brand, and your services. So that's really part of the research part of how to figure out where you need to be and where to go. And the why is essentially, it's a great form of networking, making connections with your community, making connections with people that you may not have ever been able to meet in person, but you're able to because of the conference. And also learning. It's a great spot to learn. You're learning about the industry that you're in, and you're learning about the industry that you could be serving as well, or the one that you are currently serving as well. And so you're learning about new trends, new ways of doing things. I love conferences because I learn so much while I'm there. But another reason to go to a conference is also marketing. It's a great marketing tool. While you're networking, you're also marketing at the same time. You're marketing yourself, but it's on a very personable level. A level of people connecting with the people behind the scenes, and they're understanding the why, they're understanding the purpose of your business, and they're also understanding the ethos of your business as well. Marketing in conferences is wonderful by just the one-on-one conversations, but some people use marketing as, sponsorships, where you are sponsoring the conference, where you have a booth and you're advertising, or you are selling something, you're giving freebies away, you're doing some fun activities to engage with the attendees. Or you could be sitting on a panel also while you're at that conference because you were sponsoring it. So there's many ways to, get into a conference. Another great tool for a conference or to get in is to be a speaker. Whether you're a panel speaker, a keynote speaker, a roundtable speaker, a mentor's opportunity, or a hands-on workshop. There's so many ways to be involved in conferences where you don't just have to be an attendee, but you can actually be an active participant. And when you're an active participant, it really, for me especially, just loosens up all the inhibitions that I might have to talk to strangers, because that is probably one of the most hardest things that I have to deal with for myself, is to have conversations with people I don't know, because it's scary sometimes. And I call myself an introverted extrovert. So when I know you, I'm so extroverted. But when I don't know you, it's really hard. And so when you are in a space where you're, not just an attendee, but you're also some form or fashion participating, it kind of opens up the doors and it helps with the icebreaker conversations as well. And so those are kind of the things that, prior to the mindset that we want to have when we're walking into a conference. Now, before we actually get on the plane or get in a car and we're headed to the conference, some of the things that you need to do is this. What I love to do is I love making sure that my outfits are making me feel amazing. I like to wear fun things. I like to wear things that are on brand, but also I like to wear things that kind of tell a little bit about me. Some people I've noticed when I've gone to conferences, they wear items that are really out there, or they wear something that is a conversation starter. I think it's brilliant. Whether it's a brooch, whether it's a headband, whether it's just a shirt that's just different but beautiful, there is a strategy behind the outfits as well. It's not just necessarily, oh, I'm just going to roll in. But no, you can have some thought and process behind it as well. I also make sure that I have a pair of flats, because when we're walking around the conferences, when you're sitting around all day long, it's really tough to be in heels all day long. It's exhausting. And so I want to be a little comfortable. So I make my shoes the comfortable part of my outfit, if not the whole outfit, being comfortable as well. Other things that I like to make sure that I have ready to go is a bag that I can carry my notebook in, my laptop, my iPad, whatever devices that you need, an extension cord, because sometimes you need to charge, but it's so far away. So you need like an extension cord type of a situation where you can put your plugs in. This was something that I learned after my first, I think, CLE that I'd gone to. I was like, oh my goodness, I needed an extension cord and all my devices were dying. And so it's really important to have that extension cord with you. Other things you want to have is an easy way to write. Maybe have your iPad, or I love carrying my iPad because it kind of serves as my computer because it has a keyboard, and I can truly, while I'm sitting there, write notes. I can ideate. My mind is going 1,000 miles per hour, but I can literally just dump everything and then sort everything out. And so having that iPad or, laptop or something is really key. Another great way to prepare is to have business cards. Now, I know that not all of you use business cards that are paper. They could be digital also, or you could have a handful of paper, actual tangible cards, and some digital version of your card as well. I personally like digital just because it's easy. I don't have to carry a big lot of weight of my cards. And personally, I also just feel like, why are we clogging people's, weight on their purses with our cards? Now, cards are great to have. So have a little handful of them if you are not the, card person. But having a digital QR code or a digital way to share your business card or your information is golden. The reason behind that is it's immediate. It's an immediate follow. It's an immediate connection. And that is key, because when we have a card, I always say that, hey, listen, write down some notes on that card, something I learned in my business school. Write down notes on that card so you remember the person, you remember the conversations, and then when you send follow-up emails later on after the conference or during the conference, that you have that connection that you made with them, and it makes them more personable. It makes them more rememberable as well. And so that's the thing with the card. But even with that information, like understanding, how you connected with somebody, you can even apply that to a QR code. So I have QR codes where I have one that's a landing page for all of my links, all my website, my Instagram, my LinkedIn, all the links that I have are sitting over there. And then I have one that goes directly to my Instagram account, which is also lovely when you need an immediate direct connection, because at that time you can connect, you can follow, and you can send a message immediately. And then later up, follow up with that conversation with that person. It truly is such impactful conversations that you could have. And if you're going to a bigger conference, you may not see that person easily. Then you can easily message them and say, hey, where are you? I'd love to join you for lunch. Or do you want to grab a quick cup of coffee while we're waiting around? Those are moments in between the conference schedule that are golden moments, because those moments you can truly hang out with someone and get to know them a little bit more, get to know about their family, get to know about them and their why. And it's a great way to connect at that point. And so getting yourself prepared that way is really golden, and it really helps, because at the last minute, you're not stumbling, you're not trying to figure out. Trust me, I've been there, I've done that, and I still kind of do that sometimes. And it's so frustrating for myself, but I've also refined it more every single time, because that's what it is. You go, you refine, you learn what works best for you. Now, once we're at the conference, let's talk about that. Usually some of the conferences that are pretty high tech, they already have a schedule. They already have a way you can figure out what your schedule is going to be, because they either have an app or they're using a tool to create that schedule so you can create your own schedule. Some conferences are pretty linear. There's one thing going on, then another, then another, another. And then there's some conferences that have like 10 things going on at 1 hour, and you can pick and choose which one you want to do. It's a great way to prepare beforehand if they offer that, because that's definitely something that you want to have clarity on the direction you want to go. But also know that things are fluid, things change, and sometimes you just want to go and be with someone that you just met, and they're going to another session. You're like, oh my gosh, actually that session sounds great. you can go and tag along over there, or, whatever. The point is that get your tools in place beforehand. And so some of the tools that I use are, of course, whatever, app or tool that the conference has given in order to figure out scheduling. I use that. I have Trello. Trello is amazing. I have a Trello for the conferences that I go to. I write down my notes, I brain dump on it, and then I will start assigning work while I'm at the conference so I don't forget. And I'm hitting the iron when it's hot, because when that's hot, it's moldable. When it's hot, it makes impact. And so I do that. I use notes also a lot. I love notes. I know some people use other tools such as GoodNotes or Evernote or something like that. Whatever works for you, use it. So that way you can immediately, while you're there, make the impact. And you're not just writing, but you're also acting on it. Because the problem with going to conferences sometimes, or any type of events like this where you are even for a day session, sometimes we learn a lot, but then we don't act on it, because the execution part is a lot. And the execution part can be what can be the make or break of the impact from that conference. So what I like to do is, while I'm there, I try to execute as much as I can with regards to, making a plan of action and then organizing and delegating to my team as needed. It's super helpful. I've been doing it for the last few conferences, and I know that I don't feel lost after the conference. I don't feel overwhelmed either, because I have already delegated all the things that I need to delegate, and then I have a list of things that I need to work on, and it's all in one spot. So I'm not going to 10 different spots trying to figure it out. I have my notes, I have my Trello, and I combine the two, and it becomes a great synergy for me as well. Other things that you're doing during the conference, like I mentioned before, is actually connecting with people while you're there, and meeting them in between times, like the cushiony times. You're really nice. And so when you do that, you can really relax with them. You're unwinding with them, whether it's happy hour or whether it's morning hour. There's a great moments in between that you can hang out with people and make those connections and have proper connections with them. Don't just ask, hey, what do you do? I mean, that's a question that all of us ask. What do you do? But have a few more questions running up to that. What do you do? So it doesn't just seem like you're just asking them to see if it's a good connection or not. And I, recently went to Mom 2.0, and it was a wonderful conference because everybody was ready to connect there. I also realized that some of the conversations that I had were far beyond just a let me just meet you today for the first time conversation. It was literally we connected on so many different levels as mothers, as working mothers, also as women who have their own businesses, as women who are trying to share the gifts that they have. And so there's so many ways for us to connect, for us to even be a little bit vulnerable and to be a little open in spaces that maybe we're not used to. Because sometimes with strangers, it's easier than with people that you know. And I urge you that you make those connections, and don't, maybe sometimes you want to connect, but then, you don't have the chance to go back. But again, use your QR code, get the link, connect with them, and it'll be amazing to know and see the impact of that direct connection with that person when you do make that, hello, hi, and Instagram account connection as well. Other things that I love to do while I'm in the conference is, again, having some time to myself. Yes, we're there, there's a reason, but then having some time to myself. So whether that's a morning time where I can actually do my morning routine and have it flow in a far more natural, organic, but relaxing way, because I am away from my normal, ordinary routines that I have. And so it really helps just to kind of go explore and see what's happening. So I love going walking in the morning, exploring the property that I'm on and seeing what's there, what's not there. And, it's also very inspiring. I feel so inspired because it's a new space for me, but it's also bringing in so many ideas and so many visions that I would not probably have otherwise, being in the same space that you're always in. So use those opportunities of quiet moments as well. Now, during the conference, again, taking the notes is really important. I take notes per session that I'm in, and then I'll also write down reminders about that person. I also have some signals in my notes where, where I have, okay, I want to ask this person to be a guest on my podcast, or I want to ask this person to collaborate, or I want to, I just really enjoy them and I need to write an email back to them and just tell them that your conversation was amazing. I learned so much from it, and then actually pinpoint the things that I learned from it. Don't be shy to go and talk to speakers. They're there for a reason and they want to talk to you. And most likely they've been asked to talk to you too, right? Most of the places that I've gone where I'm speakers, I've been asked by the host of the conferences that please make yourself available to speak to the attendees, because ultimately that's why attendees are coming. They're coming to learn, they're coming to network, they're coming to grow. And you are there to facilitate that as well. And plus, it's going to be so beneficial for you too. But as a speaker, but then as a attendee, go and talk to them. Don't be scared. And I've realized that everyone there is, maybe they come with one friend, or maybe they'll come with a few people if they're, regulars to this conference. But truly, there's so many more people that don't know anybody than actually know somebody. So a lot more people are excited to meet you, are excited to connect with you. So don't be afraid to make those connections. Just go up, have a firm handshake and say, hi, my name is so-and-so. And, start that conversation from there. Next is, while you're talking to someone and you're like, oh my gosh, this would be a perfect fit, talk about it. Bring it up in the conversation eventually that you would be a perfect fit for XYZ. I would love to have you on my podcast. I would love to collaborate with you further about this topic. This is how I do it. Would you like to join me? Don't be afraid of those conversations. Be bold and have those conversations. Be ready for your ask also. And I know there's a thing where people are like, don't ask, don't look so selfish. Okay, I'm not asking you to do that like in the first conversation that you have with someone, especially when you first meet them and you say hello. But once you've created a rapport with them over maybe a couple days or even over throughout the day, it's okay if it's organic. It's okay to have that conversation. It's okay to bring it up, because if you don't bring it up, they're not going to know. If you don't have the ask, you will never know the answer. So it's better to just bring it up and talk about it. Now, post-conference, you've come home, give yourself time to decompress. Give yourself at least a day to decompress everything, to think about what you've done, and then revisit your notes, revisit the contacts that you want to make and the connections that you want to make. Have an email ready. Maybe write that email while you're at the conference and then have it ready to go so that you can add those emails and send them out to connect with those people, or send out the DMs that you want to send out and say, hey, it was so great meeting you. I would love to connect with you again if they're in your town or via, virtual connection. Get that ready, because a follow-up is key. When you don't have follow-up, people will not likely remember you, or it will just be pushed to the back burner, whatever you wanted to get done with them. So following up is everything. Following up is going to open up so many more doors for you. And be genuine in whatever you're doing. When you're disingenuous, it shows. When you're not being true to yourself or to the person across the table from you, it shows as well. So be genuine. Be able to be giving and adding value to them as well, freely, abundantly, without any hesitations. Because that way, when your energies are opening up, you're allowing others to enter and you're allowing others to receive, and you're allowing yourself to receive as well. So my biggest thing post-conference is following up. And not just with the people and the connections that you've made, but also with the tasks that you wanted to get done. Hopefully, while you were in the conference, you got a lot of connections and tasks done. You got you were able to delegate and you were able to figure out what goes where. And then you can also, post-conference, put it all together, make sense out of all the things that you've written, and make sure the delegations are done, or follow up on the delegations that you did do. And I love conferences. I can't urge on why it's so important to go to them, but they are super important. They open up so many doors. They open up the mind in so many different ways. And so if there's a conference that's on your mind, that's on your heart, and you've been really eyeing it for a while, I challenge you and encourage you to take the plunge, pay that amount to get in there and go, because it will be life-changing.